This is Twit.
There are new Windows 10 PCs at CES, and as we mentioned, there are some foldable devices and some dual-screen devices, but we're not seeing Windows 10X, which is not 1010 or X10 or anything else. It is Windows 10X. So what's going on? Are you excited at all about anything that's at CES? I don't know.
But
you're not really?
No, not really. Well, look, in keeping with this is where the PC industry is. There are incredible PCs out in the world today, and the stuff we're seeing at the show for the most part is, on the evolutionary side for sure. I do find it interesting that companies are announcing dual and folding screen PCs that are running Windows 10 Pro and not Windows 10X. I maybe this is just speculation on my part based on the fact that I feel like it's obvious, but it seems to me that the Windows 10 user experience, whatever that interface is that they provide for that, is something that could and should come to mainstream versions of Windows 10 as well. In particular, one of the reasons I thought about this was there was a Lenovo picture of it was a folding screen laptop that had it was obviously Windows 10X on it, but they said this thing's going to run Windows 10 Pro. I was like, well, that's interesting.
But then they said it'll run 10X when that's available.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a lot of that as well, where you can get the same device and choose which system you want to get or whatever. But I'd like to see. I don't see why that couldn't be an option on any consumer PC. It's just a simpler interface is probably something a lot of people would enjoy, and would obviously lead to the great renaissance of the PC era.
Obviously. That guy, you can't win with Paul.
So Mary Jo Foley, we can win with you. What are you excited about at CES?
I thought that ThinkPad X1 Fold looked pretty cool. Although I was watching their sizzle video for that thing, and it was showing how you can open it all the way and the hinge and everything. And I'm like, I'm sure they test that a million times, opening and closing that hinge with machines and everything, but it just seems kind of flimsy.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
I'm looking at it now.
It is an early adopter thing. I mean, look, folding screens are the future. I think, and by the way, I think that's the thing we got to keep in mind with all this stuff, whether it's a dual screen display or a folding screen display, whatever. This technology will eventually work, right? And it will be great. It's not going to happen this year or next year or whatever, but and we'll see. And that may change form factors and all that kind of stuff. But, the PC market has been experimenting with this stuff for a long time. I mean, Mary Jo probably remembers at WinHec in 2004 or 5 or whatever it was, Asus was showing off this display on the back of a laptop lid. And you got to remember, this is before smartphones, but maybe you remember the name of that stuff. I don't remember. They never did it. But
what was that called? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was. But
it was
the
like
idea
this little mini window on your screen, right?
It was for notifications.
Yeah.
So if you're carrying around your laptop and you got an email or whatever it was, you could see that it happened. You couldn't read it or anything, but you could see that it happened because we didn't have phones, right? So, back in the day, and this actually isn't that long ago, but people kind of forget about this. I experienced this at Comdex or CES a long, long time ago. I'd go to a meeting, and I had the meeting, and then I'd have to figure out where the next meeting was. So I'd open up my laptop. Slowly it would boot up because back then, power management was terrible. It wasn't, you could leave the thing running. It wasn't sleeping. You had to turn it off.
No auto.
Took forever to boot up, load Outlook or whatever, see where it was. Okay, close the whole thing down, go to the place you thought it was. And you're like, oh wait, what was it? Was it room 14 or 4? And then you'd open the thing up, So, back then like that, unless you were printing it out, I guess, like that would, that seemed like it would have been useful. But of course, then the mobile thing happened, and now no one cares about that stuff anymore. But here we are again. We get e-ink screens on the outside of displays. These folding displays. Apple has a touch bar, obviously, on some of its MacBook Pro. Most of its MacBook Pros these days. I don't know if it's Asus or doesn't matter who it was, but someone has like a giant touch screen that's above the keyboard on the deck of a laptop, and it's like could be interesting. Is this something? I don't know. It just all seems kind of.
Wait, what we haven't talked about on the show, but we've both been playing around with them is the HP Elite Dragonfly Ultrabooks, right? And
Yeah.
They announced at CES some additional new features coming to those. I think they said 5G or LTE or something, and then
5G later in the year.
Right.
The privacy screen, and then the tile integration.
The tile integration.
What is tile integration?
So if you're familiar with the tile fobs, it's like a Bluetooth-based device that helps you locate like your keys. You attach one to your keychain, whatever.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And they have a partnership with Tile. They're trying it in this first model now, and they'll probably expand it over time to other devices. And you kind of hear that, and you're like, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And it will obviously lead to the next great PC renaissance.
These are pretty pricey. These HP. Oh my God, HP. Let's just move on from that. HP Elite Dragonflies are kind of pricey.
These Elite Book Dragonflies. Elite Dragonflies. When I was worried that when I got the review unit, I was going to feel bad that I bought the Surface Laptop 3 because I thought this was going to be my perfect device. And then after I used it for a month, I was like, nope, it's not my perfect device.
Now, that is because
she hates
I don't
HP.
like the plastic.
Wait, it's magnesium.
Plastic. It's magnesium. It's the same.
It feels like cheap plastic. It does.
All right. So every Surface PC except the one that you own is based on magnesium.
I know.
And
but they don't feel like that. I
agree that there's kind of a plastic feel to it, but what it reminds me of is the polycarbonate that Lumia phones used to be built out of, the early ones, and then like the Nexus 3A line that came out last spring is polycarbonate, and I think it's I like it. It's lightweight, but it's durable. I like the way it feels.
Oh, it's how the Kindle feels. I know that.
Yeah,
feeling.
it's got a kind of. I like the feel. I mean, I know magnesium and polycarbonate are not the same thing, but to me they have a similar look and feel to them.
Yeah.
I can't believe I am saying this, but I was a 16:9 aspect ratio person my entire life. And then now that I've been using the Laptop 3, I can't get away from the new aspect ratio and go back to 16:9.
I don't usually ask for this kind of comeuppance, but I pushed this for years. You pushed back.
Did.
It's true.
You did.
It's true.
I know. I kept saying, I hate, what's the Surface Laptop? 3.2?
3x2, yeah.
Yeah. I used to hate it. I felt like it was too information dense, and now I'm like, what's this little mini screen on this thing?
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, 16:9 was designed for entertainment. It's for movies. It's for, TV sets, that kind of thing. And in the early 2000s, right, it was like the second or maybe the third gen of Media Center was when this happened. PC screens started going 16:9. Yeah. And I had a conversation about this with Lenovo. They fought against this for a long time. It was 4x3 is what they had. It was like the early ThinkPads were 4x3, which is essentially the same form factor as 3x2. But screens started going wide, so they stuck with 16:10 as long as they could, and then eventually, 16:9 is the norm. I mean, it's so normal now that it's very expensive not to use a 16:9 display as a PC maker. Yeah. It's too bad.